The Tag on the Key. Book 1, The Plan. Chapter 23, New School. Somehow that year passed, and in the interim I was successful in persuading my parents to send me to the same school that Stephen Plotkin went to. They did so against their better judgment, but they felt that if I had a good friend there, it might be a positive experience for me. The key word for the next period in history and in my life was rebelliousness. The whole country was searching for a new way of doing things and thinking about things. These were very creative years for the society as a whole. Yes, there was a lot of decadence and outright stupidity. Still, there was an urgent need to revise everyone and everything. The revolution, as some were calling it, was everywhere, in the music, clothing, hair, drugs, alcohol, and far-out philosophies. Everywhere people were choosing sides. I chose to be rebellious, to search, to experiment, and hopefully to find. I switched out of the private school and into an experimental school built in the forest on top of a small mountain. It was billed as a slice of the world. To this end, all types of students were encouraged to study there, and so it boasted all the colors and ethnicities of American civilization. This was the case not only with regard to the student body, but that term, slice of the world, could be applied to the faculty as well. The place was very liberal, really too liberal, but if you wanted to learn something, you had the possibility of doing so. I had other friends there too, in addition to Stephen Plotkin. Without a doubt, though, he was my best friend. One of the friends that I had there was Lenny Blackman. He was a pretty normal kid. His parents were very educated, successful, and very liberal. His mother helped me with some reports that I wrote. In particular, she helped me with my report on the playwright Arthur Miller. Interestingly, Lenny was also an adopted child, as were his two sisters. Then there was my friend Rad Morrison, whom I might describe as flamboyant, eccentric, and a sensationalist. His name was really Radcliffe, but he liked the nickname Rad. He had strong opinions about everything, as did his parents. They were both extremely liberal parents. We would have parties in his house with loud music and lots of beer. The beer may have been purchased by his parents. These parties went on while they were in the house. They reasoned that it was better for us to be in the house and get drunk than to go out of the house and drive drunk. His mother was a member of the student faculty part-time. She was a kind person who always had a smile on her face. Rad's father was an inventor with patents on many commonly found household items. And his grandfather was also an accomplished inventor. Rad was accepted into one of the top universities in the country, as his father and grandfather were alumni. At his high school graduation, he arrived with gallons of beer, and he drove home in a drunken stupor, smashing into a fence post on the way. He was taken to the police station for a sobriety test, and when the alcohol in his blood was found to be over the legal limit, he was pronounced drunk. Upon hearing this pronouncement, Rad punched the arresting officer so hard that the officer was knocked down onto the floor of the police station. Rad spent that night in jail and had to face charges of assault and battery against an officer of the law in a local court. He obviously lost his driver's license as a result of this escapade. It was not long after that I was in his house. When I was over, his mother gave him the news that the family had just received a letter from the university. It stated, that the university would not be extending an invitation to their son to join their student body in the upcoming year. His mother elaborated that this was apparently due to a felony charge against him that the university was not able to overlook. By the way, soon after, Rad's brother Bert crashed his mother's car through the guardrail at the foot of a local mountain. It plunged into the icy water nearby. The girl who was with him in the car managed to extricate herself from the submerged vehicle. Bert, however, came up only hours later when the car was pulled out. He was dead. The story that Rad told me was that Bert had smashed his head against the steering wheel and had lost consciousness. He died underwater. Last thing I heard, Rad was enrolled in a course to become a deep-sea diver. Sixto Cantepia was a student who was from South America. His family lived in Bolivia. He came to the States with his legal guardian, who met him and his family while in Bolivia with the Peace Corps. Sixto was a few years older than we were. That was because he did not have much schooling in Bolivia, and he did not speak English well when he came to the Hartford area. Sixto loved to play soccer. He looked at things differently than we did. I guess he thought that we were just a bunch of spoiled American brats. Reflecting on this, I would say that he was right. I have no idea what happened to him. Jake Walker, although he was not a close friend of mine, it would be more accurate to consider him an acquaintance. We took a course together, which was entitled Theories of Human Nature. He did not speak much. He always had a smile on his face and always wore a jacket and tie. He was short of stature, with shoulder-length hair, and seemed to have a good mind. He didn't care much for sports. He used to drive a Volkswagen Beetle, and it was notorious for having a parking brake that didn't work. He just parked it on level surfaces all the time. He didn't come back to school after the summer vacation. We were told that he had died. He was found hanging in his bedroom. Mrs. Gloria Wright was my advisor at the school. She was a black woman, devoutly religious, and she was a music teacher. She had a lot of wisdom, worldly knowledge, and common sense. I considered her to be worthy of my respect. I was having various difficulties at home, the usual teenage stuff. There was a meeting scheduled between parents and advisors once a year. She understood that there was some deep stuff going on in our family, but she couldn't really put her finger on what it was. I don't know if she knew about the adoption, but she definitely did know about my visual impairment. When she met my mother, who had a number tattooed on her arm from Auschwitz, she understood. I would be requiring much more than she was able to give me. She was concerned that she was not doing right by me. She gently suggested that I get another advisor, which I did, but I still made sure to be in her music class whenever possible. She was always willing to talk to me and seemed to enjoy it as well. Although it was possible to take sports in that school, it was not obligatory. Not much was, as I have mentioned. However, the school did offer a course in Outward Bound. This was a very good experience for me in particular.